Good Saturday morning, everybody. It is I, Trevor Thompson, the self-appointed Looney Tunes Critic. And this morning, we are watching Chuck Jones at the height of his pretentiousness. This cartoon, even though it's got story by Mike Maltese and it's made at a good time in Chuck's career. Well, pretty good anyway, 59. I gotta say, not a fan of this one. Not a big fan at all. And I feel like I can see the wheels working on it kind of thing, I'm not a big fan of pretentiousness in this cartoon. Somehow this cartoon is more pretentious than What's Opera Doc. There seems to be a kind of respect for, okay, well, here, right in this scene, this is a kind of respect for Ward Kimball, because Bugs is looking very much like Ward Kimball with those glasses. Actually, Chuck started to wear those glasses around this time. I've never heard anyone say otherwise, but I would say for sure that he was trying to look like Ward Kimball. This was before he was trying to look like Mark Twain. But Patrick Jason, I do apologize. This was Patrick Jason's request. He asked that we take a look at this one for this Saturday. Another thing that this cartoon kind of annoys me is it reminds me a little bit about how Chuck was, how poorly he behaved on Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And I know that this gag doesn't happen here, but or maybe it does, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't. But the old gag of the guy coming out and taking off the glove, and it's really, really long, and it leaves a pile, and there's all this stuff that he did with Carnival of the Animals with Daffy and Bugs too, and all that stuff is stuff that Chuck tried to push on the animators and Richard Williams and Zemeckis for the ink and paint scene in Roger Rabbit. And to me, when I see stuff like that on Chuck in his material, it just reminds me that the end is nigh. It's coming. I guess I'm a cynic, but I don't know. It's a beautiful cartoon. Maurice Noble is actually somebody who worked in the layout department on this cartoon that deserves a little more credit, that didn't get any credit, is a guy named Samuel Armstrong, who is, to my knowledge, the only person who worked on this that didn't get any kind of credit. It's interesting too that Mel Blanc gets a voice credit here, which I'm sure he did something. But Bugs doesn't say a word. Just an audience member that coughing and stuff. And you know what? I bet you Chuck would have had Daffy do something with the cuffs here and stuff like that. I mean, I do often criticize Friz Freleng as being the guy who repeated himself the most, but it doesn't mean that he was the only classic Warner's director that was fond of repeating gags. And as Matt Hunter has rightly pointed out on several occasions, there really was no reason, there was no demand for originality, because a lot of these cartoons and everything that they made really only had a life expectancy of 7 years at the very most. And again, as Matt said, and he's right about Friz, Friz would figure out better ways to do the same stuff. So, and a lot of the time when he did them again, they were better. So This cartoon, I don't know. It's certainly not an existing format, and I'm glad that it didn't become a format like the Roadrunner cartoons, or but a formula. It did get used in Bugs Bunny on Broadway, though, and Bugs Bunny. If you live in the LA area, Bugs Bunny at the Symphony is definitely worth a ticket. Even if you're like me and you hate this cartoon, you can't beat seeing this cartoon played on a big screen with an audience and a full orchestra. You just can't beat it. I mean, if you got something better than that, I'd like to see it. I certainly would. Bugs. See? Well, look what happened. And I've always said I think the Hollywood Bowl was the inspiration for the color rings, the look of the color rings, but I don't know if I'm right about that. Anyway, see you next week, everybody.